Hi, I'm Kate, and it's Midwest Nice Out. I live here, and our winters look and feel like this. This video is for people who can't quite get warm enough to want to go outside in the winter. Today, we're talking about insulating layers, but this is one video in a series on winter dressing, so you might want to follow up by watching the others. Insulating layers go in the middle, between the base layer and the shell. That's why sometimes we use the term mid-layer interchangeably with insulating layer. Either way, their purpose is to trap heat generated by the body. What's less intuitive is what's actually doing the insulating. Think of a scuba diver. They wear a wetsuit, which keeps them comfortable by insulating them from the cold water. And inside the wetsuit, it holds a small amount of water that's been warmed up by the diver's body. It's similar in a non-aquatic environment. It's actually the pocket of air that's doing the warming. It's creating a microclimate near your body. So a good mid-layer has room for pockets of air to form. Things that are too tight on the body will result in compression, thus sabotaging the ability to collect a pocket of heat. And remember, your mid-layer has to go over your base layer, so you may want to size up. The other thing a good mid-layer needs to do is allow sweat to escape. Sweat is what cools your body down. In a cold climate, you don't want to let sweat sit on your skin. It's best if it gets wicked up by each layer and passed upward to the layer above it. So a good mid-layer is also breathable. There are probably already things in your wardrobe that would make an acceptable mid-layer. In fact, I'd even guess that they're non-technical garments. And by that I mean they don't need special care beyond regular laundering. There are no performance features or special treatments meant for athleticism or adventuring, and they're readily available in the average retail store. For mid-layers, you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's best to save that cash for the shell layer, where things start to get pricey. You can try out garments that have a thicker surface, like flannel, corduroy, or garments like shackets. Today, typically these are made of cotton, and as you might remember from the base layer overview, cotton is not a great choice for the wet and cold. So you may need to layer 2 items from this list in order to keep warm, depending on how cold it is outside. Some outdoor enthusiasts would say that cotton has no place at all in a cold weather layering system, but we're just aiming to get you comfortable going outside in the freezing cold for a short time, like a 20-minute walk. If you're going to need to be outside in the cold for hours, or if you're going to be getting very sweaty, then yes, absolutely, forego the cotton and look farther up the warmth scale. For now, let's stay with cotton. Another option that will work in the cold is a thick sweatshirt. It's been a favorite since it debuted in 1926 for a good reason. A good mid-layer sweatshirt has tight cuffs and a high collar, and is a little bit oversized. That helps it trap and fill up with warm air. Also good is when it features a brushy fleece interior. Speaking of fleece, let's head there next. Whether it's real fleece or fake fleece, this is a great choice for an insulator because the craggly interior traps little pockets of warm air, which in turn keep your body warm. By the way, teddy bear jackets are similar in materiality, and they do work, but having the nubby fleece facing inside works better. Also in the fleece camp, but in a slightly more technical format, is the fleece Quarterzip. Polyester fleece is a great insulator. It's light, it's warm, it wicks sweat up into the layer above it. It also produces a mind-boggling amount of static electricity. I reached for this garment a lot, so purely from a cost per wear perspective, it wasn't a bad purchase. But these garments don't age well. They become crispy and matted over time. This is actually coming from being laundered, so they're going to look worse the more that you wash them. Plus, it's going to shed plastic microfibers into the waterways. Try sticking to spot treating these to avoid overwashing them. If your fleece is already matted, it can be saved. You can brush them out again with a stiff bristled brush, like this one, a dog slicker brush. Speaking of fleecy things, you could also wear a thick base layer over a thinner base layer as your mid-layer. This could either be a synthetic base layer with a fleecy interior, or could be merino wool. The only downside using a base layer as your mid-layer is that you don't have a lot of extra space to fill up with warm air, since base layers are tight to the skin. This is why a wool sweater is the classic mid-layer piece. These kind of sweaters were historically worn in Scandinavia when skiing. Wool keeps you warm and dry because wool is fairly water repellent, but it's also breathable due to tiny gaps in the knit, so you won't trap in all the sweat. If you don't already have a natural fiber sweater in your wardrobe, you can hit up vintage or resale stores. Look for lamb's wool, alpaca, or old cashmere sweaters. Those are all good finds, and it doesn't have to be in perfect condition. This is a mid-layer. Now, onto more technical garments. These are going to cost more and be available mostly at outdoor outfitters and sporting goods stores. These garments tend to have 3 layers, an outer layer, an inner layer, and an insulating material in between. The variety of garments produced in this style are endless, with quilted vests, insulated skirts, insulated pants, and insulated sweaters. Seeing skirts in there probably threw you off, but you'd be surprised at how warm an insulated skirt can keep you. I know, a short skirt doesn't seem like it's likely to do much, but most of the heat loss on your bottom half is actually coming from your butt and thighs and not from your calves. It's useful if you like to do activities outside and you find yourself overheating sometimes in pants. Skirts you can just zip off without needing to take off your boots or skis or snowshoes. There are tons of synthetic insulators on the market that are made from polyester, in the form of short staple fibers woven into a sheet, continuous filament fibers, which are long extruded fibers enmeshed together, or clustered fibers like balls or plume-like structures meant to mimic down. Lots of outdoor enthusiasts have a specific insulator preference, but for the casual user, these are all roughly equivalent and are all good options. Beyond the type of insulation and its thermal resistance, the other factor that affects the warmth that a garment provides is how densely stuffed the garment is with that material. Look to the overall weight of the garment to determine its warmth. Next, let's talk about down. Down is an unparalleled insulator, but I wouldn't recommend down unless you're already an outdoor hobbyist. You have to know what you're doing with down to get the value out of it and also not ruin the garment. It has some properties that make garment care very tricky. There are also a lot of factors to consider with down purchases, but I see the value in it, especially if you're living in a city where garment storage space is at a premium, or if you're living in a cold and dry environment. I'll make a separate video about down. So basically, to determine if a garment is going to work well as an insulating layer, it should be one of these 3 things: thick, fleecy, or puffy. Depending on the temperature, you may find that a mid-layer top is needed, but not mid-layer bottoms. For example, I usually don't add a mid-layer on the bottom until the temperature drops below maybe 10 degrees Fahrenheit, -12 Celsius. And that's because I usually wear a pair of soft-shell pants, which have a built-in fleecy interior, so it's kind of an insulating layer and a shell layer in one garment. I'll talk more about those in the shell layer video. Easy peasy, right? Mid-layers are pretty forgiving and can be fairly inexpensive. Next up in the winter layering series is the shell layer. These are the layers that protect you from having your body heat robbed by the elements. It's a 3-layer system and each layer has its own job. One doesn't really work without the others, so be sure to watch the rest of the series. Remember, there's no such thing as bad weather, there's only bad clothes.